Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. I'm Lara, and today we're joined by the talented Carmen, our costume designer extraordinaire, to chat about theater, creativity, and the magic that happens behind the scenes. So, Carmen, it's so good to have you here, of course. But before we get really started on talking about costuming, I have a couple quick questions for you, some fun ones. What's your favorite fabric?
Oh, maybe velvet?
Okay. Zipper or Velcro?
Ooh, zipper.
Heels or boots?
It really depends, but heels.
Okay, very nice. And then what is the most chaotic, quick change moment that you think that you have witnessed?
We've had surprisingly a lot of on-stage changing moments, so I don't know which one has been the craziest. Probably Elsa in Frozen.
Because why was it so difficult? Just because of the.
Because of her transformation on stage from
Got it.
the original dress to the ice cream dress.
Very cool. Yeah, that was pretty amazing though how you came up with that. Okay, so you're the costumer with ICDT. I can do that. And how long have you been with the company again?
Ooh, I started in 2023,
Okay.
I think was the first year, just doing main stage originally.
Okay, so now you do all of the productions. That's
Yes.
kids, that's juniors, main stage, showcase?
No showcase.
Okay. So, is there a favorite show that you worked on?
I was thinking about that, and I think it's actually 9 to 5,
Really?
surprisingly.
And because why?
Because I got to play around with color and patterns a lot because it's technically 1981, I think, but so people are still wearing the 70s clothing usually.
Yeah.
And that's not a decade that's done a lot in musical theater. And so it was fun with all those bright colors and patterns to play around with it.
So, given the freedom that you probably were with this, with that show, were there any constraints like, oh, I can't use this, or oh, this is really challenging, on any of the costumes?
In that show?
Mm-hmm. Like even when they had to change on stage, because there was a couple that changed on stage, correct?
Yeah, and I was really happy with the way that worked out too. So that was fun also, that change. Both those girls looked stunning in that red sparkly dress, so that was really nice. I think the challenge was when you see it on stage, I don't know who's standing next to who, and so sometimes people end up standing next to, it always ends up that someone's always standing next to someone that looks like similar clothing, like similar colors. And so I had to do some last minute swaps.
Well, see, that's interesting because I wouldn't even think about something like that. Because let's say somebody's in plaid, all plaid.
Yeah.
And then they go up on stage and now they're standing back next to somebody with plaid and stripes or something. Mm-hmm. So you actually have to go in and say, wait, we need to rechange this, or?
If it's really glaringly obvious, like these people both had pink dresses and a teal belt, like almost exactly the same thing, and they were standing next to each other in almost every number. It just so happened that way. So I had to because it was just too similar.
That's amazing because I have found now that I'm working with I Can Do That, I have found when I'm photographing the shows, I'm in awe of what some of the things that you do because I'm looking thinking, oh my God, how did she even think about that? So like, going back a little bit, what would you say was kind of the first moment or moments or time when you decided, I think this is a great career. Like this is something that I'd really like to do. Like what made you, want to get into costuming?
Well, I originally started, my degree is in dance, actually. I was doing theater and dance. And right after college, I started teaching dance and choreographing. And at the other youth theater company I was working for, the director there knew that I had an interest in costuming, and she had been doing all of it, so she asked me to help her do it. And so I kind of just immediately connected with it and just kind of grew from there and expanded.
So like when you have a production, like, one of our main stage shows that's coming up is Drowsy Chaperone. Like what is the formula, or like, how do you just see it? Do you just see the vision of like the costumes or the era? Like, okay, she should be wearing this, or let's make this into that so it looks more like that era. I mean, how do you come up with some of these things?
Not always. Sometimes there's a very clear vision. It also has to align with the director's vision. So we'll communicate and see if we both kind of have the same ideas originally. And then it will go from there. And it can be piece by piece, like with Drowsy Chaperone. Both Drusha and I, we work really closely together on the costumes for her shows because she used to do it all herself and she has a good eye for it. And we're having a lot of trouble with the final number on what the main dancers should wear. We've gone through a lot of trial and error with that, and we both couldn't really quite get the vision. Some new things came in today, actually, that I think will finally make it right. But that one's been a challenge. So,
really?
Yeah.
It's so funny because it's, like in the 1920s. Yeah. You would think that, 1920s, just throw them in like a 1920s dress or something. But, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What do you think the biggest challenge has been on that?
Well, specifically for that number, they're not always done this way. She wanted the main dancers to be flight attendants, and that's not traditionally what's done in the original production. And we were just having a hard time because technically there wouldn't have been flight attendants in the 20s because they didn't have commercial planes yet. So that style that we think of is technically like 50s and 60s. So it just wasn't meshing right with the traditional look. So we were just playing around with a bunch of different things to make it look time period appropriate and match the colors. We were unsure of what colors to do because, spoilers for that show, everyone gets married at the end. So there's a lot of white on stage. And we were like, do they be in white as well? Do they have a color? So, yeah.
Do you guys ever think about also, too, and just photographically, do you ever think like, ooh, this will photograph really well, or we don't really look into, or with the lights that hit it and stuff? Does
it's the lighting you really have to think about. And white is a big challenge with lighting. Lighting designers really don't like white on stage, but sometimes you can't avoid it because it reflects a lot of light. And that can change the lighting design if everyone's in white and they're reflecting all that light back onto the audience. It can be pretty blinding. So generally we avoid white, but sometimes you can't. You have to have white. So
when you when you start a new production, or I know you work with the directors and so on, but are there any costumes, or is there anything that inspires you for this particular show, or where do you pull your inspiration from and your creativity?
Yeah, it depends on the show. Some shows already have usually like a clear direction to go, especially if we stay traditional to the original Broadway performances, which we tend to do here. We don't usually take something a completely different route, but I'm open to that too if the directors have a clear vision.
Okay.
I think as long as we are all on the same page about are we doing this traditionally? What time period is it set in? I'll talk to directors about color schemes and do you have a specific color you want for any of the characters, or just in general? I might come up with that. They might come up with that. It really just depends on each show. Like for Something Rotten, because it's taking place in Elizabethan times. They didn't have very many bright colors back then. Only richer people could afford that. So we're staying in like earthy tones for most people, except for Will Shakes, and he's the one person to stand out. So he's in bright purple, but nobody else is in that color.
Now I know you can pull things together and you get a lot of costumes through various resources and stuff, but you also make a lot of your costumes, don't you?
I wouldn't say a lot, but
more than me. Way more than me.
I get this question a lot, actually, is do you make all of the costumes? And definitely not. I'd say at least 90%, if not more, are pre-made things. It's more about finding the right pieces if you think of how many students there are, you
And
know,
sizes,
in
different sizes
and
and
each
height.
in
and,
each show, most people have multiple costumes, so that's just logistically too many things to even try and make. But yeah, it again, it's very show dependent. Usually I'll focus maybe one or two special items that I might make either from scratch or, you know, piecing things together. That's what I like to do. I don't like making things from scratch. It's too much work. I like piecing bits together.
I have this vision of one morning I come into work and there was about, I don't know, 25 boxes all over the office for Lion King.
Yeah.
And there's Carmen, there you are sitting at the end and you're sewing. And you guys, and then you got other people to come in. You guys were sewing at the last minute because that was like a huge challenge. Something happened with the costumes or something. And then the person left and we were kind of like, ah. So in things like that, those are huge challenges that you have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you ever do this? Ah! Or forget it, it's too late. We're not having a lion in the Lion King.
Well, we definitely have to have a lion in the Lion King, but there are some moments where I'm like, oh, it's too late. This is what it is. But, you know, we always try and up to the last minute make it as best as we can with the resources that we have and the people that we have. So thankfully I just got an assistant. So hopefully I can be focusing more on intricate details and adding all of that too.
Because I think what people don't realize, I didn't even realize this since I photograph a lot of all these productions, but every time I go to a production, and sometimes they're simultaneously, there you are. And I'm like, wait, I just left this show, went to this city over here, and I'm at this show now, and there's Carmen. So it's amazing how you literally just bounce around. I'm like, God, you really do it all. And then you're back there for when people run off the stage, quickly change, something ripped, whatever, you're there sewing, doing whatever you can. Oh my God. Okay, so if you had to explain to an alien, me, if you had to explain to somebody like, really, what is the importance of costuming? I mean, really costuming the entire show from start to finish. Like, what is the main focus?
I think it's to really help the audience understand the story. It's a big part of knowing where to focus. So directors and choreographers, their big role is, you know, you have 50 people on stage. The audience has to know who to look at, right? So they have to know where to place people so that the audience knows where to look. Well, the same thing can be true of costumes with color or with pattern, or, you know, if everyone's all in one color and then one person comes in a different color, your eye immediately goes there, right? Because eyes are trained to look for the uniqueness, right?
Wow.
So I feel like that can tell a story, or, you know, we form impressions on people just by looking at them before you talk to them, right? So even before a character opens their mouth on stage, the way they're dressed can say a lot about them. You know, do they have holes in their clothing? Is it too small? Is it really elegant? That can say a lot about a person, and that can help advance the story even if they're not saying anything.
That's amazing. I never would have thought about that. Like, even as a photographer myself, you know, just the color and the lighting and the everything, how it all comes together. Can you give me an example of like for instance, a character XYZ, I put him in this because, like, so they would stand out. Like, do you think an example of one of the recent characters you've done?
Well, I've got 9 to 5 on my mind now that we've been talking about it. In this number we were talking about, this onstage change, we had all the main dancers in silver and the guys were in black and white, and then the lead, she changed on stage and was in a red sparkly dress. So all the lights picked up on the sparkles on her dress, and she's the only person in red. So she really stood out amongst all the just black and white and silver. So, you know, color, I think, is really the most important thing.
Okay.
Or in Urinetown, it's about 2 factions, you know, the poor people and the rich people. So we made sure that all the poor people were only in greens and yellows, and all the rich people were in jewel tones, mostly blues and purples and teals. And that really stood out. So you knew the audience knows anytime a person walks on stage which group they're a part of, and the contrast there
Same
was
thing
really
with
nice.
same thing with Newsies. I remember Newsies. Same thing. That's now flashing in my head that you, So going back a little bit, what's one of the first shows that you did costumes for?
I was trying to remember which one it was. It was either Oklahoma or Guys and Dolls. I think it was Oklahoma. No, maybe it was Guys and Dolls. I'm not sure, but one of those two, with a middle school production.
Okay, and that was for ICDT.
Oh, for ICDT, the first one.
No, I was talking about like in your life.
Oh, yeah, that was in my life.
So that was, okay, so you, all right. Wow. Now, is there any show that you're glad that you don't have to do it ever again? Like, I don't like that show. It was too complicated.
Oh, yeah. And I've told them here before. I was like, please do not do Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
That show is so difficult to do from all standpoints, but
Really?
especially from costuming.
Yeah.
Every person is different. They can't wear the same costume. You've got, people in the farm, right? That's a very specific look. Then you have the Munchkin land people, very specific look. Then they're crows and trees and flying monkeys. Then when you get to Emerald City, they have to all be in green.
Oh,
so
that's
you need
right.
a bunch of green. They never go back to the other costumes. So every person's wearing 4 or 5 costumes.
Oh my God, I never would have.
And then for the set, every scene takes place in a different location. So you're constantly changing set pieces too. It's a reason why it was a movie first, and then it went onto stage. It's very difficult to do on stage.
That
and
is
then
so
those
funny.
4 main people, Dorothy and the friends, are on stage almost the entire. Dorothy never leaves the stage. So it's a really difficult part because she never gets a break.
Wow, I never even would have thought about that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Is there a show that you would love to costume for, whether ICDT does it or not, or just something out there? Or is it like, God, I've always wanted to do?
There's a lot, but lately I've really been wanting to do Cinderella because we got a dress donated to us. It's really beautiful. It seems perfect for her, but also just it seems fun to do something with a lot of big fancy ball gowns. And so I've been pushing for that one.
Oh, that's cool. Are there pieces then you favor more? Is it like the fancy? Is it versus the layered ones and stuff? Or?
Well, I love a big fancy ball gown. But like I said, when I was thinking through my favorite shows and it was 9 to 5, that's just office wear. So I like normal clothes too. And playing
Define normal.
Well, I mean like everyday
Yeah.
wear, because that's when you can really play with patterns and color.
Okay.
But it is fun to do, fancy queens and kings and stuff like that too.
So we need to do more kings and queens.
Yeah.
And Cinderella.
Once Upon a Mattress, that one would be fun.
That's good. What about, any kind of like royal, any kind
Yeah.
of, I see, that's pretty neat with the, it was kind of neat to do, to see all the colors and stuff with the Little Mermaid that I Can Do That did.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, that was, it was so, I was wondering how you were going to do the mermaids, the mermaid family, the king and all those guys, and the Little Mermaid. And it was so, I thought this is brilliant.
Oh, thanks.
I thought it was great. The green skirts, the satin, you knew exactly what they were and what their characters were, so
Good.
yeah, I just,
It's hard to make animals work, especially in the older ages. With little kids, you can put them in the full animal suit and they're cute and everyone loves it. But once you start getting to middle school age and above, it looks a little weird if they're in a full animal costume. So it's a challenge, especially when there are also humans and animals in the same show. How do you differentiate between the two of them without making them look too ridiculous? And so hopefully we got that balance right.
I know. Do you just like, when you're doing a production, and I see not just one, you have 3 major productions you're doing at the same time pretty much. Do you just like, and you have a new baby, of course, do you just like work 24/7 on these costumes? I mean, to me, I'd go crazy. It just seems like, do you have some sort of like an organization?
No, I get to work. I don't even really plan out my day. I just think like, well, what do I want to work on today? Until it gets down to the wire. But up until then, no, I'll just say, okay, today I'm going to focus on this show, and maybe I'll sew these things, or I'll start pulling the pieces for this show, or I don't know. It's all
then
in my
go
head.
home and be with
I
baby
can't
and husband, and oh my gosh, the whole shebang there. My gosh. Well, I'm completely impressed. So just as advice to somebody, so I have one of my daughters is a stylist, but she really wants to get into costuming. She goes, I think it'd be fun to try it.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of advice or direction that you could give somebody, a younger person who's like, I might want to try that? Like, what would be some advice? What would be a piece of advice that you'd give them?
I think just look at the things you're watching, TV, movies, performances. Look at all the costumes, look at color. I'd say that history is really important. Learning about fashion history and knowing what people wore when, but it's also important to know what's going on in the world in history too, because that informs how people are dressing. During World War II, all the nylon was going to making the parachutes, so women couldn't wear their nylon stockings anymore.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so things like that. We can't really do that on stage, but things really inform how people dress. Or also during World War II, women would get fabric was expensive. Flour was delivered in fabric sacks, and the flour companies actually found out that women were using the sacks to make their clothes because they couldn't afford new fabric. So they actually started printing designs onto the sacks, so that women could have some kind of design on their clothing. Yeah, so things like that inform what people are wearing. And
do you think that just comes with obviously experience? Like if I was to get into costuming, like I wouldn't even know to think about that. So it's like just over time that you've just learned through people. And
I've always had an interest in history, social history specifically. So less about like the facts and more about just like what was life like then for people. And so I kind of just learned that as I grew up because I just was fascinated by it. And paid attention in movies of like, oh, this is set in 1955. Oh, they're wearing that.
And then you probably go back and do some research and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. And it depends on the show. I feel like I have a good general knowledge of that now, but I may research more when I know like, oh, this is set in this time period. Let me really get into the details of what exactly people were wearing. And
that's really amazing. It's again, this is a really neat discussion because costuming, people think, oh, costumes, just put the costumes on. They just don't. I don't know if people really understand what goes behind. And this is a big part of the production, obviously, because without costumes, well, you wouldn't have the same production.
Yeah.
So good. So we're going to wrap up, but because ICDT is turning 10, I have a couple of 10 questions.
Okay.
One of them is, when you were 10 years old, what did you want to be when you were 10? Like around that time?
Ooh, when I was 10.
Because you didn't just like wake up and say, hey, I want it. What would you
I wanted to be a ballerina.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's cool.
I started ballet when I was 4 and, took class every day after school for hours, but then I stopped growing and was not tall enough, so.
That's funny. I would never think that a ballerina had to be like tall, but I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what's a 10 out of 10 costume moment that you've created or seen on stage? Like out of all of them, like it was easy. It was all the, whatever, organized. It was pretty. It worked out well. I don't know. 10 out of 10. Like, oof, I would do that again.
Let's see. I think, in Newsies, I think the meta outfit, the red dress, that just looked so good, especially with the set that we had. I didn't even know that she was going to have red curtains around her, and it looked really nice. Yeah.
It was very good to photograph too. So yeah, is there anything that you want to add into why you love your job so much, because I'm assuming you love your job since you're here and you do such a good job. Everybody relies on you. Like it's Carmen. So, but is there anything that you would want to add to, what makes ICDT so special with their productions?
The kids just are so talented and really kind, I think, too. And so you can see the hard work that they put into it. And I think that comes a lot from the environment here. The teachers are really wonderful, really nice. So they create this open community. I think we see that in the students and in the staff because they treat their staff really nicely too. So I think that paying it forward of being really nice, but also working hard and knowing professionalism, knowing when, okay, we really got to work hard at this right now. And I'm always blown away by how talented these kids are and the production level. It looks like professional shows.
100% it does.
Yeah.
I'm amazed. And, every piece comes together from the director to the lighting, to the stage, to the photography.
Yeah.
But really the costumes, it's just amazing. And just to watch you work. But here's the funniest thing of all. I've known you now for a while. You are so chill. Like I would be pulling my hair out and I would be like, oh my God. But you're just like, it will make it work. And if this one doesn't work, we'll change this. Oh my God. I would have a heart attack.
You have to in theater, especially when you get to tech week, because if you stress out too much, that'll stress the kids out and that just makes it worse. So being calm backstage is so much better if you're doing a quick change. It actually goes faster if you are calm and just doing things smooth and methodically than being frantic, because then you lose pieces, they fly around. So being calm is very good.
I would be the one that you would be like, she can't do this show anymore because she's too stressed out. I can't get this changed fast enough. So, well, anyway, thank you so much, Carmen, for your time. It's been really great getting to know you and just to see you in action. I'm so impressed.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're part of the team, and thank you so much for sharing your moment with us. I appreciate it.
Thanks.